what you do, but at the end of the day, is it really love?
White women don't care about love. They're not trained to marry for love. They're trained to marry for stability.
This is such a wild take. Subscribe. Let's talk about it.
What you do, but at the end of the day, is it really love?
White women don't care about love. They're not trained to marry for love. They're trained to marry for stability. Why are we confused? And just back to what you were saying the white woman didn't care about cheating. Duh. The white man was sleeping with the slaves, and she did not care. That was still her family, and she was still riding for the white man. What part of it do we not understand? Let them go and be where they're celebrating.
So it's hard to start on this one, but we have to start on this one. One, what we constantly see, this is just from the male point of view in hearing stuff like this. We hear women, you can be specifically black women, but you hear it across the board on social media, constantly speaking for people that are not in the room, people that would have a differing opinion, who could easily prove your point wrong, but we're very comfortable telling you what you are doing, how you move, the reasons for your behavior, what you accepted, what you did not accept, what you will accept, what you will not accept, based on loosely put together pieces of evidence. You saying that white women don't marry for love, yet you want to go and reference because of slavery? Now we get what's happening here, right? It's a very simple play. It's a very simple play. We're going to talk about it, right? Whenever you hearken something back to something that we all have agreed is wrong, slavery, Nazi Germany, once you liken or attach someone to that, everything else around them becomes, you can say whatever you want. You can say the most despicable things about them. You see the same thing happens in politics all the time. You'll take a party and you'll liken them to something evil, liken them something disgusting, reprehensible, and then you're fine to denigrate, degrade as much as you want because I made this connection first. But when the foundation of itself is just flat out stupid and wrong, we have to go back and look at the person that's propagating this nonsense. You're telling us that white women don't marry for love. In what form can you legitimately say that today? Not something that happened to 400 or 500 years ago. Today, when you're seeing white women the way they're moving, and this is in response to white women marrying black men or black men while marrying white women. This is in response to that. You make it seem like now I've made them bad. See what happened in slavery? They still stuck with their men. Okay. The counter argument is saying that that black women marry for love. But when you see what's happening online, you keep seeing love is not enough. Love is not enough. Love is not enough. Love is not enough. That has become the mantra that permeates the community. When black men say, hey, listen, I just want to make sure she's not a gold digger. You ain't got gold to dig. You constantly push at, prod at, poke at black men. And when you talk about them in terms of marriage, there's very little talk about love. There's very little talk about, I want to be there to support. I want to inspire. There's very little talk about, it's talk about what he has to do for you. This statement comes across purely as projection at this point in time. You're making it seem like that's what they do. We marry for love. I'm sure it exists, but in these spaces, in these pockets of what you see from people coming online and what they're saying, that seems very false. Now, we're always going to make that caveat and say offline, off in the social media, outside of this limelight, outside of what's spotlighted, I think you see more of the truth that people are getting together for love. Money is a very important factor, but actual getting along, loving that person is also paramount. You're not just getting with men because, well, you know what? He's got money. That's not really the case across the board. Most people know they're going to have to go 50-50. They're going to have to both collaborate to make something happen in this economy. That is what's happening in the main. But when we talk about these things in these spaces, we push back because when we're silent, we kind of condone it. And I think that's what's happened to why we get here to this place where we have increasingly dumb takes like this. They make it sound normal. But before we continue, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss no uploads. We're still going strong, still trying to do 2 a day, so we can complete the full year of just showing that sort of discipline. Sunday, 7 p.m. Central, we've got a live show coming up, Subscriber Sunday, so make sure you're in there, jump in the chat, say hello, all that good stuff. We got merch in the store, and we have membership is open to the channel. So support any way you feel free, but again, like and share the video. So I think there's one point, we have to say, give credence and say, well, this is probably just an increasingly hot take so you can get some views. But we've seen this woman say many things before. And I think we've had one on the channel in the last week where you're going back and it's again making something akin to slavery. We're not saying, or we're not trying to downplay the effects of slavery. We're not trying to say that at all. But when you take it and you try to make sense of these things relationally today, why you see some men choosing to be with women over here, you gotta accept it. I think we're still like 85% race loyal when it comes to marriages. So what are we really upset about? Is it because those are the men that you would want to be with because they have some sort of status? But instead of looking inward and saying, why are they choosing women over there? You want to make it seem like, well, they're not married for love. That spits in the face of everyone that is married for love, that has functioning and happy relationships, interracial relationships, or just relationships with white people having their own relationships. When their divorce rate is lower than ours, when their marriage rate is almost double than ours. Even if you want to say, okay, they're not married for love, what are they doing? Because it's working in comparison to the black community. Now, again, the easy defenses go back and say about slavery, yeah, but we were marrying at higher rates before at one point in time. There are factors at play in the community that you cheapen when you make increasingly wild takes like this, when it shows your internal sort of frustration, trauma, and hurt to push this out and say, this has to be what's happening. You think they married for stability. That's probably one of the reasons. That's probably one of the reasons that becomes effective in keeping people in marriages. Financial stability. I know we can do this better together. We seem to have lost a little bit of that plot online when we see black women talking. You want someone increasingly to, well, he's got to know, he's got to pay for a bad bitch. This is how it has to be. He has to pay. He has to come with X, Y, and Z. And then we have people on the other side who are saying, yeah, if he doesn't do these things, then he's not the man for me. You don't factor in anything else in the behavior, anything else about why he might choose to be with someone else, why he might go elsewhere. You have to realize that eventually it gets very tiresome hearing this sort of noise again and again and again. Here's what's wrong with black men. Here's what's wrong with black men. They need to do better. They need to do this. Then you have someone just saying, yeah, the stuff you can work on, the stuff I can work on too. We can work on these things together. When you talk about collaboration, even if in the spirit of you want financial stability, we all understand we're going into the marriage for different reasons. Love, we hope, is the basis for both, but you can be going in for financial stability. You can go in it because you can want someone else can be a caretaker in the soft ways you can't take care of yourself. This is very normal. But when you try to vilify one party, one race, because you can't get it together, this is when you have to stop. You have to call bullshit. You have to stop and say, no, this is solely a you problem. Making it seem like an entire race. And you have this podcast. Get white women on the show. Talk to them. Interview them. But when you throw wild takes like that, you shorten the lifespan in which people want to listen to you. Where people are going to just stop. I'm not going to take you seriously. Now, all you're going to get is people critiquing you and saying, you're wild for this, and this is why you're single. This is why no one wants to be with you. And when we're not in control of our racial image, they look and they say, this is all of you. Even when the data says otherwise, even when their lived experience can say otherwise, when you're constantly inundated by the same thing, the same people saying the same thing over and over again, it becomes associated to us. It becomes the next new stereotype. Listen, if you disagree, let me know down in the comments below. If you see other videos on your screen, check those out. Let me know your thoughts about those in those videos. And of course, if you listen to Sound My Voice now, you have not subscribed, I think you should. We're just trying to build something dope. I'll see you in the next one.